Hi there. So we're gonna be looking at your question. So I think the first thing we have to do is just break down the question. What's the question actually saying? So it says, given that every odd integer is of the form 2n plus 1, so we know that every odd integer can be expressed in the form 2n plus 1. Okay, prove that the sum of any two integers is even. Okay, is even, and that their product is odd. Okay, so we have to think about how we can prove this. Now, we can't prove this, unfortunately, using numbers, because obviously we want to prove that this is true for any odd number, so we have to use variables. So in terms of, we're not going to assign a number to an odd to mean odd numbers. We're just going to assign a variable. So we know that all odd numbers can be expressed in this form, and they're asking us to prove that the sum of any two odd numbers is even. Well, in other words, the sum of any two odd numbers is just going to be 2n plus 1 plus 2n plus 1, because it's the sum of any two odd numbers. So then we get equal to 4n plus 2. Okay, and this can be simplified to 2 open bracket 2n plus 1. And this is important because we know that any number multiplied by 2 is even, which means that the sum of any two odd numbers will be even. So we've proven the first thing. Then we have to prove that the product is odd. So we have to multiply two odd numbers together. So an odd number is just going to be 2n plus 1 times 2n plus 1. And this is going to equal 4n squared plus, 2n plus 2n, which is 4n plus 1. Okay, now let's try and analyze this just like we analyzed this. We said that this is multiplied by 2, therefore this has to be an even number. We know that 4n squared is always going to be even, because any number squared is even, and 4 times any number is always going to be even. So this is always going to be even. Okay, the same with this 4n. This is always going to be even. In other words, it's 2 times 2 times n. It's going to be 4n. Just like this is 2 times, just like this one is 2 times 2 times n times n. It's always going to be even. So if this is even and this is even, the sum of two even numbers is even. You agree? So the sum of two even numbers is going to be even. In fact, you could even factorize this and say this is going to be 2 open bracket. You could even say this is equal to 2 open bracket 2n squared plus 2n. You could factorize this into being this, which means that because these two, the sum of these two is this, and this is 2 times a number, this is always going to be even. And we know this. But now the question is, what happens when you add 1 to an even number? Well, the numbers has to be odd. So if this number has to be even, and you're adding 1 to an even number, then your final number has to be odd. And that's how you can prove that the product of any two odd numbers is going to be odd, just by using variables. So I hope this helps.